He walked into the cafe with only $5 in his pocket, embarrassed, nervous, and ready to give up. But what he didn't know was that this blind date would change his life forever. At the next table, a single mother and a powerful CEO were listening, and fate was about to turn his broken night into a miracle. The night was heavy with silence, the kind of silence that weighed on Marcus's chest like a stone. The old clock on the wall ticked with a stubborn rhythm, reminding him of how little time he had left to decide whether or not he would go. His wallet lay open on the small table beside his bed. Inside, 5 crumpled dollar bills rested as if mocking him. He picked them up, unfolded them carefully, and stared at the faded green ink. $5, not 500, not 50, just 5. Marcus whispered to himself, "Is this what I'm worth? Is this all I can bring to a date?" He had grown up believing a man should provide, should impress, should always come prepared. Yet life had a way of tearing down even the strongest walls. A layoff, bills piling up, his old car breaking down. His savings had vanished like smoke in the wind, and now, on the night he was supposed to meet a woman he had been talking to for weeks, all he had was $5. He almost canceled. He almost picked up his phone to type the words. Something came up, maybe another time. But he couldn't do it. There had been something in her voice when they first spoke, something in the way she laughed, like bells ringing after a storm. She was kind, warm, and so very real. For weeks, their late-night calls had been his only escape from the weight of his reality. And now, to cancel? No, he wouldn't. So Marcus put on his cleanest shirt, the one his mother had ironed for him months ago when she thought he might finally land a job interview. He looked at himself in the cracked mirror. The shirt was a little faded, the collar soft from too many washes, but it was neat. He brushed his shoes until they shined, even though the soles were worn. He smoothed his hair back and whispered, "You've got more to offer than money. Just be you." With that, he stepped out into the night. The bus ride was long, the kind where strangers kept their eyes down, pretending not to see each other. Marcus pressed his forehead to the cold window, watching the city pass by in streaks of neon and shadow. He thought about the woman he was going to meet, Alicia. He knew only pieces of her story. She was strong, independent, raising her little boy on her own after heartbreak had left her with scars. She never told him much about her ex, only that she had learned to survive without him. Marcus admired her strength but also wondered why she would give someone like him, someone with nothing, her time. When the bus hissed to a stop near the cafe, Marcus's palms grew damp with sweat. He stepped down, his heart thundering in his chest. The cafe wasn't fancy, but to Marcus, it might as well have been a palace. Strings of warm lights hung in the windows, and soft jazz drifted from inside. He paused at the door, his hand on the handle, and whispered, "Here goes nothing." The bell above the door chimed as he walked in. The smell of fresh coffee and baked bread wrapped around him like a blanket. He scanned the room nervously, and then, he saw her. Alicia sat near the window, wearing a deep red scarf that framed her face in a soft glow. She looked up, and when their eyes met, she smiled. Not a polite smile, not forced. It was warm, genuine, like the kind of smile that says, "I'm glad you came." Marcus felt his nerves ease just a little. He walked toward her, trying not to stumble, and extended his hand. "Alicia," she laughed softly. "Marcus, finally, it feels strange seeing you in person after all those calls." He smiled shyly. "Yeah, you look even better than your picture." They sat, and almost instantly, the air between them shifted into something comfortable, as though they had known each other far longer. They ordered coffee, Marcus carefully choosing the cheapest item while praying the bill wouldn't exceed his fragile budget. Alicia noticed his hesitation but said nothing. She had learned, through her own struggles, to see beyond the surface. As they talked, Marcus forgot about the money. They spoke about childhood memories, about how Alicia used to dance barefoot in her grandmother's kitchen, and how Marcus once spent an entire summer fixing up an old bike just so he could ride with his friends. They laughed about silly things, teased each other gently, and shared quiet truths that most people kept locked away. Then Alicia's voice grew softer. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. Marcus nodded. She lowered her gaze. "Being a single mother is hard. Harder than I ever imagined. Some nights, I feel like I can't keep going. I worry I'm not enough for my son. I work 2 jobs, and still, sometimes I can't give him everything he deserves." But, her eyes lifted to his, shimmering with unshed tears. "But I try, every single day, I try." Marcus's throat tightened. He reached across the table, his hand brushing hers. "You are enough, more than enough, and the fact that you keep trying. That's what makes you incredible." Her lips trembled into a smile, and for a moment the cafe seemed to disappear. But they weren't alone in that moment. At the table next to them, a woman in a sleek black suit had been quietly observing. She closed her laptop and leaned closer. "I'm sorry," she said. "I don't mean to intrude, but I couldn't help overhearing." Marcus and Alicia glanced at her, surprised. The woman extended her hand. "My name is Claudia. I run a company just a few blocks from here." Alicia nodded politely, but Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Claudia's eyes, sharp but kind, locked on Marcus. "You remind me of someone I once knew. Someone who didn't let life's struggles define them. The way you listen, the way you speak with honesty, it's rare." Marcus blinked, unsure how to respond. Claudia reached into her bag and handed him a business card. "We're hiring. I don't usually do this, but something tells me you're the kind of person we need. Consider it an opportunity, no strings attached." Marcus's hands shook as he took the card. He could barely whisper, "Thank you." Alicia smiled at him, her heart swelling with quiet pride. She didn't know this man well, but already, she felt drawn to his spirit. He was honest, humble, and real. The night stretched on with more conversation, more laughter, and small moments of vulnerability. When the bill came, Marcus placed his last $5 on the table. It wasn't enough, but Claudia, with a knowing glance, discreetly covered the rest. Alicia noticed but said nothing. Outside, under the glow of streetlights, Alicia turned to him. "You know," she whispered, "it's not money that makes someone worthy. It's heart, and Marcus, you've got more heart than anyone I've ever met." Marcus looked at her, his eyes misty. "All I wanted was to make tonight real. And I think it was." She smiled, slipping her hand into his. It was more than real. It was the start of something. Marcus gazed at the business card in his other hand, then at Alicia's warm smile. For the first time in years, he believed in miracles, not the flashy kind, but the quiet ones, born from honesty, kindness, and courage to show up, even with only $5. That night, he walked home with empty pockets, but his heart was fuller than it had ever been. And that was the story of how a man with only $5 found love, opportunity, and a new beginning. Sometimes, life's biggest blessings come when we have the least to give, because that's when our true selves shine. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories that remind us all, hope can appear when you least expect it.